Hey guys, welcome to another episode. So today we're going to take a break from doing the engine work just because I'm still waiting on some parts. We're waiting on the valve stem seals and springs, retainers, stuff like that. With all the coronavirus stuff going on, it's kind of hard to get parts shipped. So today we're gonna probably start working on getting the interior cleaned out, vacuuming up all the dust, wiping everything down, starting to put interior parts back in. I'm not gonna do seals or anything yet because I still got a wet sand. So we're gonna kind of go into that a little bit today. It's probably gonna be a bit of a longer episode. We're gonna be doing quite a bit of things, but I'm gonna show you guys kind of the difference between a non-wet sanded and buffed panel and then a wet sanded and buffed panel, and kind of break down how to do that. So let me show you guys. I'm gonna flip the camera around. I did the fender already, so I can show you guys kind of a before and after. All right, so you can see this is the reflection in the door, you know, and the rest of the body. And it's not bad. Like, it's kind of hazy, you know, as you get up closer, you can really see some texture in there. And this is what we're trying to get out. Like, on a normal car, this wouldn't be too bad, but that's not what we're going for. So we're trying to get this as straight and as shiny as possible. So you can see my reflection's not too great in there. Now, on the fender, I did that. So we'll move over, and you guys can already see just how much smoother that looks. I mean, the gloss is perfect. The shine is perfect. You can see me perfectly fine. So that's what we're gonna be doing today. We're gonna take the rest of the car, which looks like this in some spots. Some of the other pieces aren't as bad for orange peel. Like the rear quarters came out real nice. This door, I think, is the worst part for orange peel. So we're gonna take the whole car and we're gonna make it into that. So here you can see a good difference between that reflection. You can hardly see that little extension cord I got there. And there you can see my buffer and everything I'm using. So, all right, so we're gonna break that down, show you guys kind of how to do that. Like I was saying, we're gonna wet sand all this stuff out. So what you want to do is make sure that your panel is nice and clean, because if there's any dust or dirt on there, you're just going to be pushing that around, and that's going to cause even more scratches, and you don't want that. What you're trying to do is eliminate small defects, and if you're just pushing dirt around, you're just making more scratches. So what I like to use is these little sponges. You can get these at Walmart and stuff. They're a Rust-Oleum product, but it's got 1,000 grit sandpaper on one side and 1,500 grit on the other. Now, for this, I could go, 600 or 800 and kind of get this whole thing real straight, real fast. But I also don't want to do that. I want to take my time, and I want to watch and make sure that everything's going fine. So I'm going to go with the 1,000 grit. We're going to start with 1,000 grit because I don't think I'm going to burn through anything, but it's better safe than sorry, because if you do burn through it, then you have to re-clear the whole panel. So I don't really want to do that. So we're gonna start with 1,000 grit. Once this whole thing is smooth, we're gonna build up to 1,500. And then in here, I've got 2,000 grit. So 2,000 is gonna be good for getting out the 1,500 scratches. And then I move up to the 3M Trizact, and it's a 3,000 grit. So once I hit 3,000 grit and I don't see any more scratches, everything's looking good, then I can go ahead and start my buffing and compounding and all that stuff. So I'll run through all the products that I'm using for that and with this stuff. So the foam, the reason I like this foam stuff is because this door's not very straight. Like it's curved, and it's got all these curves, where the vents and everything go. So I want to use a foam pad. That way it conforms to all the bends. I'm not sitting here with a straight block trying to get all this stuff out, because if you're doing a straight block and you come down to here, you might have a tendency to burn in this curve. So using a foam pad for this, I enjoy that a lot more. It's going to give me a smoother finish. So we'll get started with the 1,000 grit. Probably do a time lapse of this whole thing because it's going to take a while. But your goal is to get it to where it's completely smooth. So it's not going to be glossy anymore at that point. You're going to take all the gloss off, but you don't want to burn too far, because if you take the clear coat off, you got to re-clear it and all that. So you want to make sure that when you're doing this, you're dipping your sponge or your sandpaper in the water, and you're keeping this panel nice and lubricated. And if you see any color transferring onto your sandpaper or in the water, you know you went too far and you got to stop, you messed it up. So you don't want to go that far. But you will start to see like a milky substance, and that's the clear coat, because you are taking off clear coat. That's why I put so many layers of clear on here, because I know I'm going to take a lot of it off. So the milky white substance, that's fine. You can go ahead and keep going, but once you see color, you got to stop. So we'll time lapse, we'll get through this door with 1,000 grit, and I'll show you guys what that looks like. All right, so you guys can see still some orange peel in there. So like I said, what we're trying to do is get this whole panel flat. So if you see all these little spots, those are the orange peel. So I've now taken off the top layer, so you can see it's kind of matte colored. So now what we're trying to do is get all these little spots out, because if we buff it the way it is, I mean, it's gonna be shiny, but you're still gonna be able to see all that stuff. And that's what we're trying to get out. So we're gonna keep going. When you're doing this, you wanna make sure that you're doing a little bit, letting it dry, because as it dries, that's where you're gonna see all your orange peel. So you can use like a squeegee or something if you want, like a real soft squeegee to get the water off. I just use, rags. Let it dry, but you can see we still got to work some here, but over here's looking okay, kind of. Still got to do a little bit of work, but yeah, for the most part, I'm liking this. One thing also is when you're coming up to edges, like over here, when you're getting close to these edges, you want to be real careful, because edges will burn faster than the actual panel, because you're putting more pressure onto the edge. So you want to make sure that you're not putting too much pressure there. And what I like to do is I'll get real close to the edge. I won't sand to the edge, but I'll get real close. And then I'll come through with like a detail sander, and I'll slowly do that. The panel is smooth now. There's no more orange peel. There's a slight bit like up here in the door handle. I'm not too stressed about that, because the door handle is going to cover that, and being this close to an edge like that, I don't want to risk burning through it. But this is that little edge sander I was talking about. You can get this at Walmart too, actually. It's pretty cheap. I think it's like $4, and it comes with the sandpaper, 1,000 grit, 1,500 grit. And that's gonna allow you to get inside here without, risking burning through everything. I like using that a lot. So yeah, doors done with 1,000 grit. Now we're gonna step up to 1,500, and so you can see a little bit of orange peel. The 1,500 grit's gonna be able to take care of that. So the 1,000 is just to knock it down and do, a fairly good job at that. And then 1,500, you're just refining the shine. So as you see, once I hit it with 1,500, and then I move up to 2,000 and even 3,000, you'll start to see the gloss come back. But it's not done yet, so you'll be able to see some shine, and it'll probably be hazy. So if you guys have hazy paint, that's the part where you should start watching. So let's get doing the 1,500. All right, so you can see the panel is now down to 2,000. So we're gonna move up to this Trizact 3,000 stuff. And this is on like a nice foam backing. So you can use this, it's got the Velcro on it, so you can use it if you want to on like a you know, hook and loop kind of sander. What I do is I just fold it. Now this stuff stays sharp for quite a while, and it has really good sanding properties. And I mean, if you're trying to get the shine, you got to go with 3,000. You could buff this the way it is, and it would look okay. It would just, you know, you'd have to compound it and do a little bit more work to get the level of shine that I'm trying to go for. But if you do 3,000, it makes it easier. They even make 5,000, so you can sand it with 5,000, but I see no point in doing that. Most compounds are going to be about 5,000 grit anyway. So let's hit it with the 3,000, and then I'll start showing you guys the buffing techniques. Alright guys, so let's talk about buffing a little bit. So you're going to have different pads. So the pads are going to be attached to your buffer and stuff like that. What I like to start out with is these orange pads. Now you can get these at Harbor Freight. They're a little bit too hard, so I like to, you know, get them to soften up a little bit. So I'll preload them with the compound before I even use them. And then that'll help soften up this foam. But they do get softer as you move on, because you're not just going to use this one for the whole thing. So this one I'm going to use with the Meguiar's Ultimate Compound. I've been using this stuff for years, and it works out really well. It cuts real harsh, but it doesn't leave a bunch of scratches. So you're not gonna use it and still have a bunch of scratches. You can almost use this and then be done, because this is gonna leave like a nice shine. So if you have like faded paint, this stuff works really well to restore that. So I used to be real big into 300ZXs, and I had one that had like really bad black paint, and I used this on it, and it made it look like new. So I highly recommend the Meguiar's Ultimate Compound. And actually this product sold me on their entire line. So I started using like strictly Meguiar's products for cleaning, just because I think they work really well. And then 9 times out of 10, they smell delicious, you know, and that's I guess how they got the Tide Pod kids, but I think they smell good. So after the orange pad, I'm gonna go with the blue pad. And the blue pad is gonna help with, so this is real soft, and you're gonna use this for like a pre-wax cleaner or something like that. So you're not scratching anymore, you're not like compounding, you're more like I use this with the Meguiar's like Ultimate Polish. I'll use that, and this works out really well. And then after that, then you can go ahead and start waxing. So you can put on your first and second coat of wax, and that's going to give you like a real deep gloss shine. For that, I'm trying out Meguiar's new product. It's the ceramic wax. So far, I really like it. It goes on real nice and smooth, and then it just leaves a nice deep gloss. And I don't know if it's the paint or if it's that product, but maybe a mix of both. But yeah, so we're gonna get started doing the buffing on this. I'm not gonna wax just yet. So the waxing on the whole car, I'm gonna hold off a little bit, just because this is still kind of curing. So I don't want, and by curing what I mean is it's off gassing. So the gases that are inside the paint are still kind of coming out. And I don't want to lock those in there, because that's not good for the paint. So we're gonna go ahead and buff. I'll show you what this product does, and then the Ultimate Polish and stuff like that. I'll show you guys what that does, and then you guys can see kind of a finished product, and then what you would put wax on top of that. All right guys, so you can see the panel's nice and dull now, which means, you know, we don't have any high spots, any low spots. It's looking really good to me. And the smoother you get this, the smoother the shine is gonna be. So, but like I said, you don't wanna go too far, because if you go too far, you can't go back. So you wanna make sure that if you're putting your clear coat on, that you've got enough to sit here and smooth it out. Now, if I was going to flow coat this is the point where I would flow coat. Once I got everything smooth, I would give it a good scuff so the clear coat could, you know, get its mechanical bond in there, and then that's when I would flow coat. But we're not gonna flow coat, just because I think this looks great the way it is. So we're gonna go ahead and start buffing. Like I said, we're gonna use this Meguiar's Ultimate Compound. You can see there's kind of oh, there's not really too much of a shine, but it looks almost satin. So, but once you put this compound on there, it shines it right back up. But so we're gonna put a little bit of this on our pad, and then we'll take our pad, and I've just got a 7-inch buffer, and it's variable speed. You want to make sure you got variable speed because you don't want to burn through this. And I'm just gonna put a few light spots on here. That way, I'm not flinging this shit all over the garage. So get this stuff on there to where it's not going too crazy. And I'm gonna start out on a really low speed. So we'll turn this all the way down to 1, and then we'll just slowly start passing over everything. All right, so you can see we've got a fairly decent shine on here. Let's go ahead and take our microfiber, and we'll just wipe off all this excess. And you can see already, like, you know, that's a deep shine. So we could technically just stop right here, but we're not going to. So this is good. You know, if I saw this on a car at a car show or something, I think it's good paint. But I want to stand out a little bit more, so we're gonna get this gloss even deeper. So let me go ahead and knock out the rest of this panel, and then we'll get back on this. All right, so this is all polished up, or compounded up now. So we're gonna go ahead and use the polish, and we're gonna use that blue pad that I showed you guys. So now we're gonna just make this even shinier. You still have to be careful because you could still burn through areas. If you're staying in one area too long, that buffer will burn through the paint. So be real careful about that. Don't go too high of a speed. Don't stay in one place too long, because you can also, this is generating heat, so you don't want to burn the panel, you know, figuratively and actually. So let's just take our time on this, make sure that it looks good, and step by step. So let's put the polish on here. I'll show you guys kind of what that's going to do to it. So again, we're just going to load up our pad, and we're going to put a few dabs in a few key areas. You know, if you're feeling like your buffer is not going to fit into certain areas, like, you know, maybe down here or something, in this vent, just, you know, bring out the elbow grease. Do it by hand. You can still do this by hand. This just makes it a whole lot faster. So so let's take our microfiber, and we'll just clean off all the excess. And you guys can see that it's nice. That's a nice reflection. Looks beautiful. One trick that painters, you know, used to do, I think they still kind of do it, but it's to see if you can see the reflection, like a serial number in like a dollar bill or $100 bill, or, you know, whatever makes your wallet feel fat. I don't have any cash because I'm poor and my wallet's inside, but what we can do is let me grab the camera, and I'll show you guys the bottle of the Meguiar's in the reflection, and see if you guys can read anything. All right, so there's our bottle. You know, if you guys can read backwards, I'm sure you can read that. Ultimate Compound, Color and Clarity Restorer. Cuts as fast as harsh abrasives. So you can pretty much read just about all of that. So as far as a serial number on a dollar bill or something, I'm sure I'd be able to read it. That is pretty much like a mirror. So I'm happy with that. And again, pretty much just using the Ultimate Compound and the Ultimate Polish. And then we'll go ahead and wax and everything later. But I wanted to show you guys that. All right, so now the fender and the door are done. Time to do like quarter panel and all that other stuff. But I'm not gonna film all that, because, you know, that shit gets boring just watching me sit here and sand and buff and whatnot. So let's start putting some interior together. All right, guys. So I got a lot of the glass cleaned up out of the inside. Because if you remember, we broke the front windshield, and then for a while I had a rear hatch glass back here that was all busted up that I got from Matt. So what we're gonna start with is getting the pedals back in. So as you can see, I do have a clutch pedal and I have a brake pedal, but the accelerator pedal is not in there because I had to take it out because it, you know, goes up in there and all that stuff. So, but these are, let's see if I can get a good shot of them. These are legit TRD pedals, so they're worth some money. I like them. I do have the full set with the dead pedal, the accelerator pedal, so we're gonna clean all these up. You know, there's probably 25 years of nastiness on there. So we're gonna clean this up, and then we're gonna put that in. One more thing that I'm sure some of the Supra people that have been watching this have probably been mad about is my e-brake handle has just kind of been chilling there, and that's because it's nasty. Don't like it. So in this box, I have a nice set of new door handle bezels. So those are gonna go in. I'm really excited about those. And then I have the emergency brake handle, brand new leather, and the new surround that goes on there. So we're gonna probably start with this. I'm gonna go ahead and spray this all down with a nice degreaser, wipe everything before I start putting new parts on, because all this stuff, it all needs cleaned. So that's where I'm gonna get started. Probably won't video all that. I'm just gonna go ahead and clean it out, and then we'll pick back up whenever I start installing some stuff. All right, guys, so that's some of the interior work done. It's not like secured because I'm gonna be taking a lot of this stuff back out to do wiring for gauges and stuff like that. So a lot of it's just temp installed. I just wanted to clean up the attic a little bit, make sure that all the parts are still in good shape, and then make sure that they all line up, that everything's gonna be okay. So let me flip the camera around. I'll show you guys kind of what's in there now. So we got one window in. The door panel is in. It's in pretty good shape. The other side does have a tear in it, so I'm gonna have to probably get the armrest repaired. But we threw the dash in. As you can see, this guy, I need another one of these because the handles broke and then somebody put, I don't know, something in there. A lot of the Japanese people, they'll put like a little TV or something there, like a navigation system. So I got to get a new one of these. Lower glove box is fine. All the other dash parts are fine. But what I did want to show you guys is, so we got those nice TRD pedals. I did clean up the accelerator pedal, so the other ones will kind of look the same once, and then I'll clean the accelerator one more time because it's still got a little bit of dust on it. But these are probably going to get refinished because I don't like the gloss black, so I don't know what color I'm going to do yet. We'll probably do something kind of cool, you know, maybe like factory stuff. Steering wheel is in, just temp installed, just so I can kind of maneuver it around and make sure that the wheels are straight. This is the non-leather steering wheel with the Supra emblem. I do have a leather one, but the leather's all messed up. So when I go to take the armrest in and try to find a place to redo that, I'll probably have them redo the wheel too. So the dash does have some damage right there. There's not a whole lot I can do about it. I mean, sourcing a right-hand drive dash is not the easiest thing in the world, but the gauges are in. They're actually plugged in, so if I put power to the car, those should actually light up. We did the wiring harnesses down there and then on that corner too, but you know, there's no wiring harness in the engine bay. None of that stuff's plugged in. Still got to put the radio back in. I'm not gonna actually put anything here until the transmission goes in. I do have a short shifter for the V160, so that's gonna be nice, but yeah, the e-brake handle is looking real nice. But yeah, still got to do the back of the interior and the headliner and, you know, this door here, get all that stuff secured. But yeah, it's about to storm pretty bad, I think, so I'm gonna call it a night for today. And I mean, that's a pretty good stopping point right there. So all right, so yeah, we did quite a bit of stuff, but I'm gonna, like I said, I'm gonna stop the video here. Next, we're gonna probably be doing a little bit more interior work, more time-lapse stuff, just getting the rear interior put together, clean out all that stuff, get that stuff ready, and then start putting all the plastics and the back seats in, put the front seats back in, and start actually doing some wiring to make sure that the gauges work. The only gauge I'm really gonna be running is the AEM True Boost, just because I like it. I think it's the best boost controller on the market, so we'll put that in, and then that should be about it. Do the wiring for the radio. I'm not going to go too crazy with the interior. I am going to probably put in some new speakers because the ones that are in there are kind of old. But do the engine, get that thing ready to drop in, and then transmission, get that thing bolted back up, and hopefully we can just start it. I won't have any issues, you know, crossing my fingers. But yeah, next episode we'll be putting seats and stuff back in it, starting getting the interior all buttoned up, and then we can, once I get it wet sanded, we can start putting the seals and the glass back in. So, yep, that's where I'm gonna leave it. Hopefully you guys are staying healthy, and if you're self-quarantining, doing something cool like this. So I'll see you guys on the next episode.